Hey there.
How you doing?
Good, good, good.
All
It is a
right.
privilege to meet you. We've shared the same spaces, I think, but never actually met in person or
Oh,
face to face.
okay.
Yeah, you know my wife, Paulia. She's been working on the Can We Talk project.
Yes.
Yes.
All
Um,
right. How you doing?
I am doing well, and I just want to thank you again.
Oh, you're welcome. I got about a solid 30 minutes, if that's okay.
That should be more than enough. Let me just give you some background, and then we'll just have at it. Okay.
Okay.
So I teach. I'm the director of worship at Gordon College, the undergraduate um, up in the Holy Hill, and I'm teaching a class called Worship and Theology and Practice.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, it's for future pastors to learn how to make worship services.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So these are undergrad, and most of them have had one or two church experiences top, and that's all they know,
Oh, wow.
and they don't even know that that's all they know, if that
Wow.
makes sense.
I understand. I understand. Yep.
And so they are learning about um, the best example I had. We assigned students particular elements of worship service, and I gave one of my students the praise break, and he
Mm-hmm.
thought that meant we stop the service and go to the bathroom for a minute.
That's funny.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And when he found out what it was really, he was like, "Oh, this is so cool!" But he was like,
Yeah. I got you.
"They're great kids, um, but their experience is just very, very, very small in many cases. It
Uh-huh.
varies." And so the purpose of this particular thing is I'm doing a video, and I want to convey the importance of the arts in worship. Um, because they're again designing future worship services, and they'll have to do things that are beyond their comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they'll have to look at worship. They'll have to look at things that they themselves can't do. Um, and so I'm interviewing a couple of musicians, but I don't want it to be music is the only form of worship.
Okay. I
So
got
I'm
you.
interviewing two dancers, including yourself. I'm
Mm-hmm.
interviewing a visual artist. I've interviewed an architect uh, about designing holy spaces, and yeah, and I am interviewing a couple of musicians as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so my goal is to create a kind of a Ken Burns kind of video.
Ah, okay.
So it's not going to be an interview. I won't be on it. I don't want to be on there at all. It'll be all of you all pontificating profoundly and just sharing your thoughts. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I will give you a couple of prompts and then have at it.
Okay.
And it's probably, I don't even know how long this video is going to be. It may be 20 minutes altogether, so I won't use everything you say. Um, but if what I've seen so far is any indication, I'm this is gold mining. This has been amazing. And so I may be able to get like 5 videos out of this. I don't even know. You know?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay.
Yeah, so it's exciting. Your screen is looking really streaky with those lights. I don't know if there's anything we can do.
Yeah, I have
It's the lights actually in the room that are just
I'm gonna
creating
turn
this.
and it'll be much better lit this way.
Okay. Yeah, I want to give you the best look as I can.
Uh-huh.
And also, if you have any footage of you dancing or other people dancing, I would love to kind of use that as like B-roll while you're talking.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's much better. Yeah.
Yep.
So if you have any, or even stills, but footage would probably be more effective for dancing.
Okay, yeah, I can send you something.
That's great. Just because talking about dancing without seeing it is kind of like watching a food show without tasting
Yep.
it.
And I understand. I understand.
All right. So that makes sense?
It makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. Um, so I'm going to ask a very vague questions, and like I said, you go specific. So for first question I might ask is, how can the ministry of the art of dance enhance a worship experience, both for the person dancing and for those who are watching?
And so you want me to answer that now?
Yeah, as if it's off the top of your head.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think first off, when it comes to the experience of worship arts, particularly dance, enhancing the worship experience of the parishioner or the person who's coming in, the seeker or the person who believes that they're saved and sanctified and they're on the other side of the idea. You got to consider a couple of things. Context is really important. What we have found, when I say we, liturgical dancers from Boston, New York, Chicago, and Philadelphia in particular, what we have found is that when Alvin Ailey, when the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater comes in town, and they do Revelation, which is their signature piece, you are looking at trained dancers who dance from 10 o'clock in the morning until 6 in the evening. These people do ballet, modern, jazz, they do everything. And one of their requirements becoming a part of the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater is to learn Revelation, which is mostly modern dance. Has a little bit of African in it, but it's mostly modern. Now that modern comes from a woman named Catherine Dunham, famous dancer, choreographer, anthropologist, who studied worship in Haiti with the Christians that were there, where they were mixing African culture with, mostly what the missionaries told them when they got over there. So when people come from those performances of Revelation, and then they are part of a church community and they come back to church, it's always like a thing that happens seasonally where people want to see that kind of dance at church. When they've witnessed it in the theater, they then want to see it in the church. And most liturgical dancers do not train like that. They don't go to ballet classes, modern classes. They don't have a sense of who Catherine Dunham is. When you say, oh, we're going to do some Catherine Dunham, who's that? So what we have found is that a lot of liturgical dancers in these churches all across the country are not trained. They're not clear about the context that the dance comes from, but they have a heart for worship. They have a heart for dance and movement. And they want to communicate to their congregation that they are the Word made flesh. That's one way to look at it. That they're doing something that symbolizes what the song is saying and what their belief systems are around Holy Spirit showing up in a service. So you get all kinds of interpretations when this happens. And what I have found is people are impacted by that in different ways. The older people in the congregation, generally speaking, appreciate it. They love it. They think it's amazing. And the comments you get from the older folks are, oh, when you dance, I feel young again, or I feel like the Spirit just came in the room and you encouraged us with your movement. Then you get the younger people who say stuff like, yeah, I like the choreography. I like what you all were doing. Man, you make me want to do it. You make me want to get up there and do it. And some of them join after they see some of it. But I think the most important thing that's not being mentioned is that it is the Word made flesh. Some people talk about that, but it is the Word made flesh. It is a manifestation of the Word in a service. Now, we were just having this conversation the other day about, do you use live music or do you use pre-recorded music that is well mixed, well, composed and so on. And most liturgical dancers will tell you they'd rather use recorded music because the recorded music impacts the congregation the most because people know the songs. They know the arrangements. They know when the singer's gonna hit that high note or when the beat drops a certain way. But when you have when you have the praise and worship ensemble or the so-called band doing their rendition of the song, a lot of the nuances, a lot of the ideas are not going to be there. It could be better, but most of the time, the songs don't really quite sound as rich. So the music has to also impact the people along with the dance. And that's where we get our most profound results, when you have those two worlds coming together. The movement has to be impactful in terms of telling the story, or the word made flesh, and then the music has to really be well done in order for people to feel it.
That was really great. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. Um, Trying to think where to go next. That was some stuff I didn't know, by the way. I didn't realize that. I mean, I've seen Revelation probably 4 or 5 times. It's amazing. It's an amazing piece of work.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting that, yeah, that churches would expect the same quality.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Right. It's as if, going to see Israel Houghton and wondering why the praise band is not doing that.
That's right. That is correct.
It's the exact same thing.
That's what happened.
Yeah. I'm going to make it a little more personal. What does it mean for you to dance? What does it do for you in terms of your connection with God when you dance?
Yeah. So I'm 6'4". I'm a dancer a performing artist who, when I was coming up, everyone told me you should be in the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. And I worked with a lot of Ailey dancers. I worked for the organization at one point. I did music for their international tours. And this was all prior to me giving my life to the Lord. Now imagine that. So when I accepted not just the call, but when I really gave it all over, if you will, I already was a professional dancer. I already had a sense of where the stuff comes from and how to make it work. Theater, musical theater, and so on. So when I started dancing, I was in a relationship with a woman that danced as well, and we would dance at our church. And at the time, I didn't realize how powerful the dance was, because what I was doing was putting all the musical theater and all the training and all the technical stuff into my worship experience. And I just remember always seeing people standing. It was like a standing ovation, but praise. So praise and standing ovation together, which I had never experienced before. And that would always impact me in a way where I felt like I was really doing a service, like I was giving something that had value. People would leave the sanctuary feeling like they were inspired, and that made me feel good. Now going forward, in this day and time, I have way more information about how powerful the dance is and how powerful the music is. So when I do it, I now feel connected to not just the people who are in the room and the prayers that we've lifted up, but I also feel connected to the cloud of witnesses who made it possible for me to do that work in that ministry in the moment. And that goes beyond the standing ovation praise stuff. It goes beyond the, bro, Brother Wyatt, that really, really ministered to me. I want to say thank you. So what I do is I usually say, well, God bless you. And I'll say things that put the emphasis back on what this is all about, right? So that's how I feel about it.
What would you like future pastors to know about the gift of the ministry of dance?
I would say to future pastors, bring your best dance to your worship experience and allow the dancers that want to dance, allow them to bring their best dance. Most people get a chance to dance at parties for the first time where they have a really good time. Most people get a chance to enjoy dance at bar mitzvahs and all kinds of sacred gatherings. When it comes to dancing for service, just tell people to bring their best dance. Now, should it be structured? Yes. Should there be some sense of the history of liturgical dance? Yes, people should do there's all kinds of resources out there now. You can read up on it, look at videos. You can look at even things like this and get a sense. But bring your best dance is the number one thing I would say. Because that is, I believe, the gospel is contemporary. Yep, we got all kinds of old school songs, but the gospel in its purest form is contemporary.
Amen. Amen. Wow, this is just, I'm so honored that you're doing this, Wyatt. Thank you so much. I'm trying to think if there is anything else I need. It's been fantastic. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I'll preface this with a question to you, and then, so I mean, in many church traditions, dancing is a sin. And I've heard, and I don't know if it's true, but at Liberty College, a student can get fined for attending a dance. Um, and certainly, Black church is all over the spectrum on this, but other church traditions as well. So the bigger question I'm asking is, what kind of challenges have you faced in terms of receiving this particular ministry? Have you faced some, people looking at it like with the side eye?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So could you just sort of talk about the, I guess for lack of a better term, the morality of liturgical dance?
Right. So of course we know that the history of praise, worship, music in America with Black folks or with African Americans, you just go back to the Dorsey conversations and all of that. We're looking at jazz and blues and all of that stuff having its origins in the church. Or some people say it started in the church and it went into the clubs and it came back into the church. I think it's the same thing with liturgical dance. I think it's the same history. There was a time where if you were praising, we're talking the South now, if you praised the Lord and your feet left the ground, like if you started to kick your feet up, that would be considered a sin, or connecting to some kind of a dance that was a little too, worldly. Then that eventually went away. And then it became a thing where you are not even going to clap. You're just going to sing these slow hymns and you're just going to have a moment of reflection, a moment of meditation. We're not gonna start clapping up in here because that connects to something else. Then that went away. Then when you look at the Azusa movement and how that changed everything. You know, the Azusa movement said, bring all your clapping, bring all of your Pentecostal uh, uh, feelings and all of just the ideas that you have about worship. Bring it all in. The clapping, the shouting, the emoting, the falling out on the floor, what they call catching a step, all of that, high praise, bring it. That's a manifestation of the Holy Spirit. And what that did was it separated, it separated folks. The Azusa movement was the Pentecostal folks over there, and then the Baptists who didn't want to go there, and then the Baptists eventually started to do it. And then the AME people were like, no, stop, stay with just praise and worship, but in a kind of a controlled way. We can clap, but we're not going to dance, right? So by the time I came along, they had figured a lot of that stuff out. They meaning the AME churches, which is what I'm a part of. They had figured a lot of it out. A woman by the name of Reverend Cecilia Bryant. She was at St. Paul AME Church in Cambridge. She was one of the first people to introduce modern dance to the AME church. She wasn't a trained dancer herself, but she could move, and she had seen Alvin Ailey. She had seen African dance. She had seen all this stuff. And we call her the mother of liturgical dance for the AME church. So she was up against the traditionalists, and she got a lot of pushback. But right now, the AME church in America, in particular, it's an international denomination, but the AME church in America is the most organized denomination with liturgical dance. And it's everything. It's all the stuff I mentioned about jazz and African and modern. It's all of it. And those are friends of mine who are now doing a lot of the work in New York at a place called Allen AME Church. They are Kathleen Turner, Aisha Maribel, Chris World, who used to be a part of that, and so on. There's many of them who are now the leaders of the liturgical dance movement in a lot of ways. Myself, for the men, Dr. Tamar Bryant, who is now the executive director of the American Psychological Association. She's a trained liturgical dancer. Her mother, Reverend Cecilia Bryant, is the mother of it. So it's a whole community of people who are now saying, you tried to push back on us, but we're bringing, in a lot of ways, what Catherine Dunham many years ago brought to the table, which is we're going to bring all of our Africanness into this, and we're not going to hold back. And the music is going to be hip hop. The music is going to be stuff that sounds like R&B. The music is going to be high praise, and all of it works.
Oh man, this is so great. I think I've got all I need for this. I've got one more request to ask of you, if you would consider. So one of my jobs is that I am responsible for all the worship student leaders at Gordon, and strangely enough, that includes our dance ministry.
Good.
It's strange because I am like the world's greatest undancer.
Ah.
Paula will tell you one of my greatest regrets of my whole life is I refused to dance at our own wedding. And I have still yet to pay for that.
They gotcha.
Yeah, but I love the student leaders that I have, and I would love for them to meet you
Oh, okay.
because they have they're doing they're wonderful ladies. Unfortunately, we've not been able to get but one guy in the entire 9 years I've been here,
Yeah.
which I know you know that, but I would love for them to. If there's a place where you're dancing, I would love them to take a field trip. if you could let me know. Um, I'm able to mentor my musicians because I'm a musician. I can't help these ladies.
Right.
I can speak into their lives and I can love on them and I can give them opportunities, but I can't nourish them in their craft.
Gotcha.
And for 9 years, I've wanted them to connect with a senior person who's done liturgical dance and have failed. So
Uh-huh.
this is my first chance. So I would love to. I know you got to go to
Okay.
do that. So could I talk to you about that at some point?
Sure. You can do a Saturday
Hmm.
um, in preparation for Resurrection Sunday. We have some Saturdays coming up where we're going to be doing stuff. And then for that actual service, if they want to come and see that
Is that it? Where you at? Are you at St. Paul? I mean,
at Bethel AME
you're
Church.
with Ray and Gloria.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, that might be something. They'll probably be out of town, but we may be able to get them to view it. I mean, they're
Yeah.
students, so they'll probably go home to their own churches, of course.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah. Or in preparation for that, they can come to a Saturday rehearsal, see how we operate, and then I can go ahead and do a special workshop with them
oh, that would be awesome.
for like
All
an
right.
hour, like a good solid hour. We'll bring all kinds of music. I'll have my djembe. We'll do some warm-ups. We'll do some call and response that connects them to their own
Mhm.
liturgical dance voice.
Wow. Let me do this then. I mean, I've got to get through this. Obviously, you got to go. Let me talk with them,
Okay.
and we'll have my people talk to your people,
Okay.
and then I think this connection is gold, and I'm just really grateful because again, I can't nurture them directly,
Gotcha.
and obviously you've done this, and thank you. I just thank you so much. We'll get back to you, and we will do all we can to also compensate you for your time on that too. I will see what I can do.
Fantastic.
All right. Wyatt, take care and thank you. I'll let you see the finished product.
Okay.
Pray for me because I've got some serious editing to do.
Okay. And I'll send you a couple of clips.
That'd be fantastic. Great. Take care, man.
Thanks, man.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.